Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
What's happening? Welcome to the podcast. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. Welcome to A Drink with Derek. Excited to have you join us today. This is going to be a very interesting episode with not one, but two guests. You normally pay for one, but I decided to give you a bonus one as well. Huge thanks before we continue to our sponsors, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. If you're going to bet sports, you got to bet with your brain, not with your heart. Everyone has their favorite teams. Everybody has their favorite logos. Everyone has their own opinions on games, but you got to go with people that know what they're talking about. These guys do the research, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. They make their clients money. I've made money. If I can make money, you can make money. And go to their website right now, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Enter the promo code Derek35, and you get 35% off any package that you decide to buy. All right, so you're going ahead and you're getting their predictions, their picks for games. They don't pick every single game. They only pick the games that they feel the strongest about. VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Also, check out my album, Double Down, available where you download stuff. All your iTunes, your Spotifys, your Amazons. Go on there, grab a copy of Double Down. It's my brand new release that was recorded in Fort Myers, Florida at Laugh-In Comedy Cafe. Huge thanks to Jamie, Eric, and the whole crew down there. And also the Irish Comedy Tour special is available now on Amazon Prime. If you have Prime, it is absolutely free. You can also get it on all those other platforms, Vudu, Vimeo, YouTube TV, Google Play, iTunes. But if you have Prime, it is absolutely free, the Irish Comedy Tour. And we are going to start up our tour, thankfully, 2022. Starting back up. 2021 was a complete train wreck, but 2022, we start back up March 3rd. In Old Saybrook, Connecticut. We'll be in Schenectady, New York, Peekskill, New York, Port Charlotte, Florida, Boston, then doing some stuff in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. The IrishComedyTour.com is the website there. And huge thanks to all the guys at newtakes.tv. Go on there and check out all the cool podcasts that are available. Some fantastic content. I was listening to a couple of the podcasts the other day when I was out on a walk. But go to newtakes.tv. Huge thanks to Ben, Drew, Rob, and Sean for their fantastic work over there. Now, let's get to today's episode. Going to talk about cryptocurrency today. Cryptocurrency. What is this? You've heard of Bitcoin. It's been a punchline, depending on who you talk to. It's also been a big bank account boost for other people. And that it's not only Bitcoin. Now you have, I think, up to 4,000 coins that are out there right now. Cryptocurrency. What exactly is this? A lot of people know. A lot of people don't know. I've had it explained to me several times, and I'm still confused, trying to understand what this is all about. I have two guests that are going to join me here in a second. Troy Geiges, who is here in Las Vegas. He is a cryptocurrency expert. He's been on board with crypto since day one. He has done very well for himself. And a good friend of mine up in Seattle, Zach Goldberg, who is a financial advisor, who is going to offer his take on cryptocurrency and the validity of its investment and it's just the existence in general. So it's going to be a fun conversation. But first off, to give you an overview of cryptocurrency, here is a little short video clip that we found on YouTube. There's tons out there, but here's one clip that explains cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, right here on A Drink with Derek.
What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital currency. Bitcoins are digital coins you can send through the internet. Compared to other alternatives, Bitcoins have a number of advantages. Bitcoins are transferred directly from person to person via the net, without going through a bank or clearinghouse. This means that the fees are much lower. You can use them in every country. Your account cannot be frozen, and there are no prerequisites or arbitrary limits. Let's look at how it works. Several currency exchanges exist where you can buy and sell Bitcoins for dollars, euros, and more. Your Bitcoins are kept in your digital wallet on your computer or mobile device. Sending Bitcoins is as simple as sending an email, and you can purchase anything with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network is secured by individuals called miners. Miners are rewarded newly generated Bitcoins for verifying transactions. After transactions are verified, they are recorded in a transparent public ledger. Bitcoin opens up a whole new platform for innovation. The software is completely open source and anyone can review the code. Bitcoin is changing finance the same way the web changed publishing. When everyone has access to a global market, great ideas flourish. Bitcoins are a great way for businesses to minimize transaction fees. It doesn't cost anything to start accepting them, and it's easy to set up. There are no chargebacks, and you'll get additional business from the Bitcoin economy. For more information about Bitcoin, visit weusecoins.com.
All right, now let me welcome my guests here from Seattle, Washington. Zach Goldberg is a financial advisor, and also here in Las Vegas, good friend of mine, Troy Geiges. Both of these gentlemen I have had multiple conversations with. Let's bring them on the screen right now. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing great.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Zach
me.
there in the middle, Troy there on the right-hand side. Troy, you and I have had multiple conversations about cryptocurrency. And you talk to me and you sound so dialed in. You've been on board with this since day one. You told me about this probably 4 years ago. And I looked at you like, what are you talking about? And every time you'd come in, you were bragging about how, oh, this coin's doing this is doing that. And I have had no idea what the hell you're talking about. Zach, I've talked to you because as a financial advisor and good friend of mine, I've asked you about this on a number of occasions. And we've had some very interesting conversations talking about the validity of cryptocurrency. But first off, let me go to you, Troy. Cryptocurrency. If you're gonna sit down with your mom has no idea what cryptocurrency is. You sit down, pour her a cup of coffee or a bottle of vodka, whatever your mom's into. How do you explain to your mom what cryptocurrency is? Did that video make any explanation or help out at all in the beginning? What would you tell your mom, Troy?
Yeah, honestly, that video is like, I can understand it only because I understand it. So yeah, you're right. It would be tough to tell her what it's about. She's quite spry, but it's hard. Older people don't like change like that. But if I was to explain what it is, I would say it's basically a safe way to store your money without the interference of government, things like that. It's decentralized. Instead of one point of attack, it's completely decentralized, even though there's no actual physical coin. Well, same with the dollar now. Basically, all we do is spend digital money. So it's just a safer one, and it's a hedge against inflation. The dollar's losing power. Bitcoin's only going to go up. It's deflationary. And
now
that's
we
not
have
easy to
almost
explain.
4,000. Well, now you have
Well, I was
almost
able to
4,000
convince
coins.
you.
I did, and I bought into it. And here's what's funny, and I was telling this to Zach yesterday. I said, look, cryptocurrency is the one thing I have absolutely no knowledge about, but I have thrown money at it based on recommendations from you, Troy, and I've made money. It's like me literally going to play Pai Gow poker, and I have no idea why I have the cards that I have, but I'm just happy that the dealer is pushing me chips, and I'm good with that. So Zach, I mean, what is your thought on this, on cryptocurrency, when he's talking about it being decentralized, and this is a much better way for us to go ahead and fight inflation, avoiding government intervention in this? I mean, what do you say to this?
Those are true. The inflation fighting element might be a little bit more debatable, but it is decentralized. It does not, it cannot be managed or controlled by the government, which is a good and a bad potentially, right? You have had some government crackdowns. China has tried to control it. There's been some talk here about trying to control it, but that's kind of the benefit of it. From my standpoint, I'm probably a bigger fan of the technology and the distributed ledger and the ability for that to be fast and efficient technology versus an investment in something where there's no barrier to entry. It seems a little too speculative for me in that, like, what's to say that it's Bitcoin today or Ethereum or Litecoin or Dogecoin or, whatever, you know, whatever the next hot name is, but it's almost like a collectible to me, where the value is what you say it is, right? So it's Barbie dolls and baseball cards a little bit, because and so the value could continue to go up, but it also could be zero.
Well, what is it propped up on? Because, and now, Troy, let me ask you this, because, people would say that our current money was propped up by gold, but that went off, a long time ago. Now, our
Yeah.
money is basically just propped up by the bank's promise that you actually have that much quote unquote money in your account. What is cryptocurrency propped up on?
Uh, Rarity. It's just like you know the word fiat is Latin for let it be, and that's what we decided to go to 1971. And without rarity and the ability to just push print, it's basically just a giant inflating balloon. You just keep putting it in. You've seen Venezuela, you've seen all these other ones, and most people think America will never be that because we're too strong. But in the end, inflation is getting worse. We know this. It's going to get worse and worse because they keep pushing print. But it's propped on rarity and adoption. Now, you were mentioning about it going to zero. That would be worldwide. Everybody says, stop, don't touch this. We want it off because there's no way to stop it otherwise. They'd have to agree. China did stop mining and the use of it, which actually helped because now all the miners blew their stuff out and brought it to all these places, mostly coal places because it's cheaper to cool all the processors. So it's basically just, simply rarity and adoption. And it's easy, it's portable, it's faster than moving gold around. Gold, if you wanted to move that around as a great store of value, will, try to move a truckload of that stuff. Instead of one little code, you send it right all the way to Australia, $10 million move. So that's why it's going up. It's going to be adopted.
Now, Zach, what do you say to this in terms of how this is being propped up and how the value of this can continue to rise?
Well, the value could rise, because there are two different kinds of markets, right? There's a market where it's a popularity contest, and then there's a fundamental market. And so, these markets don't have a massive fundamental, right? You're not getting a little piece of the future cash flows of a company here. It's a popularity contest, which is adoption. Troy's absolutely right, right? So it could continue, but the terminus or the cause of terminus, uh, you know, it could be regulatory risk, it could be technology, it could be um, you know a new idea, something else that becomes um, adopted, so to speak, right? So you've had, I mean, I guess the big famous bubble was the tulip bubble, right? Like, no one should have been paying what they were paying for tulips back in the tulip bubble, but they did until they didn't.
Right.
So it absolutely
Almost like
could keep
Beanie
going
Babies.
up. Beanie Babies
Remember
did
Beanie
it.
Babies when those were
I have a
those were
bunch of
going
them still.
crazy? I mean,
Hey, there was a time when I mean, it happens with stocks too. I mean, there are stocks that are far dislocated from their fundamentals. Way back when there was a move in Crocs, right? And I know you have a affinity towards Crocs as dude repellent, I think you call it. But
yes, it's
they went
exactly
from
what I
two
call it.
bucks to $70, and then back down, right? Like, so things can go up, and they can go up a lot longer. The famous saying is markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So whether or not there's a fundamental backing here, this could go double, triple, quarter. It could go higher. Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
Troy, what's your prediction right now on Bitcoin? Because I remember you got me in on Bitcoin about 2 years ago, and I bought in on it, and I ended up was it last year December? It got to maybe 24,000 for a Bitcoin. Now it's as of we're talking today, probably $66,000 for a Bitcoin. And
Right.
I went ahead and I went dump. This is as high as it's gotten. Get rid of
Yeah.
it. Get rid of it. I made money. I paid off a loan. I was happy. I was happy until I see the price today. And I want to stick a golf pencil in my eye because I lost a bunch of money. But that's that whole, and Zach, you and I have talked about the FOMO mentality. No, I dumped all the Bitcoin. I've got Ethereum and some other stuff now, but we've talked about that fear of missing out thing that's been going on, since the beginning of time. And I mean, and Troy, you and I were talking about this the other day with some other friends of ours watching football. You had at one point, how much did you have sitting out there? You don't have this. You don't have this now, but we were talking about this the other day. Zach, prepare yourself for this.
Was out.
No, my calculator worked just fine. It worked. It worked like a champ. I was happy to bring it out because we were talking about this because we were going to stick you with the bar tab when we found out the money that you could have potentially been sitting on. How many Bitcoin did you have at one point in time?
At one point, let's see, it was 22 Bitcoin, but back in the day. So and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh, that's pretty cool." But it was all I needed to do was
pulling up my calculator that doesn't work.
Please don't. And and it goes up a little bit. And I go, "Okay, sweet, I'm going to sell." I go, "I just made $1,000. I'm awesome." And then later, you just realize, oh, all I had to do was just hold. Basically, holding is the main thing. And back to the point that you made, the tulips. That's a great example, and same with all the other things, baseball cards and so on. More like fads. This seems like a fad, but it is basically Internet 0.2, so to speak. It's the NFTs are coming out, non-fungible tokens, and all these things. So it's going to actually get bigger than you think, and it's the new Internet, really. And it's going to be bigger than a lot of people think. So I could see how a lot of people get in. I did the same thing. I said, "This is stupid. I understand. I can't touch it." But I don't know. And back to the point you were making, this 22 Bitcoin. At one point, I had 250 Ethereum.
$1.45 million, by the way, just in case. You'd be sitting on it right now. You could actually buy a new casting couch, or at least clean one up behind you.
I'll tell you, it's fine. I don't have a black light here.
I got to credit Zach for the casting couch comment. But no, I mean that was. Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
No, I just I think the fact that both of you took money off the table is the right discipline. There is story after story of people that own something that went to the moon that didn't take some money off the table, and the discipline of saying, okay, my paper profits need to turn into my couch fund or my bar fund or my house payment, is a good discipline, right? I mean,
you have to realize
so, regardless of what this is or isn't, the YOLO trades are crazy, right? The message boards are full of folks that are taking 100% of what they're worth, whatever that dollar amount is, and putting it in one trade, whether it be GameStop or AMC or Bitcoin or, and it's working in the cases that you hear about, and it's decimating or going to decimate, plenty of people, because that discipline over time has not been, concentrated wealth has created more wealth and destroyed more wealth than anything else. I mean, 85% of the time you're better off being diversified. And this goes for anything you own, right? So the discipline is, invest in a component that we can call speculative, or whether it's a hedge or not. There's a certain amount that you should be able to budget for that. And it may vary a little bit on who you are and what your other expenses and lifestyle is, but it's probably not 100%.
Well, no, you have I mean, you have 4,000 cryptocurrencies that are out there right now. I mean, could this Because we always refer to Bitcoin as being the benchmark of everything, because it's kind of really where it started. Isn't that correct, Troy? Wasn't Bitcoin the first one to come out, the first cryptocurrency? Now you have like
Absolutely.
4,000 cryptos that are out there.
More than
Why?
12.
Why do these new currencies keep popping up, and why should anybody care about them?
There's no barrier to
I mean,
entry.
is it all the same? Is it all the same technology? Is it all they're all doing the exact same thing, or no?
Most
they're
of them are
not.
rug pulls. They're basically quick projects that are goofy. I made my own coin. It was very simple. The guy that made Dogecoin did the exact same thing. He said, "I'm making fun of Bitcoin," and it got adopted only because, well, Elon for one. Elon's some kind of god. He sneezes and tissue prices go up. He just he's got like some kind of power. But the point is, the Dogecoin, while a joke, is it's got a great spendability to it, but so do many of them. Same with Bitcoin and everything, but they're very slow. Most of them have utility. So Bitcoin, while the first one, like you said, it's going to be the god, so to speak, at the top for probably ever. ETH might be able to get close to it. What was the question actually I was supposed to answer?
Hey, Troy, you're much closer to the community of
Yeah.
crypto traders and such. What are they saying about, like there's the socially responsible trading movement saying, hey, it takes too much energy, and this should not be an investment because it's ruining the environment. I mean, is that just like, well, fine, I'm making money, I don't care, or is there some counter
I know what
argument
you're
to
going.
that, or?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, the argument is actually really quite simple. We still mine gold, and it takes up way more energy, carbon emissions, just to get to some gold. And basically, mining Bitcoin has been the worst in like China, and they got rid of it. Most everybody are moving to places. You know how energy, let's say hydro, if it's not close enough to a city, it's too long because you only go 500 miles or so with the lines. Now Bitcoin basically just brings itself to it. So people are building buildings next to places that are going to get great, almost free energy, solar or hydro or other types. To tell, El Salvador just adopted Bitcoin as it's actually their currency. It's their second currency. They have two, and it's actual currency for them. They're going to be using the Lightning Network. But besides that, they're actually using an energy idea of a volcano. I said, holy crap, you're using a volcano to power Bitcoin mining. Well, it's basically the heat coming out of the vents, and it's working. They've already mined. Their country has already taken in some kind of $15 million, and they just started. So
I love the concept of
works.
a volcano fueling the
It's hilarious.
currency of a country. It's like you could show up, sacrifice a virgin, purchase a car. This is a great opportunity they're
I
offering
love
here.
it. I was like, what's the lava going to do?
What
It's so great.
If someone is just starting to look to invest in crypto today, what should they look for? And Zach, let me ask you this question first, because I know you and I have talked on multiple occasions about clients that you have where they've come to you and said, look, I want to go ahead. I've got a portfolio with you right now. I want to go ahead and invest in crypto. What do you as a financial advisor tell them?
Oh boy. Okay, so I'm kind of controlled by regulations in a lot of ways, right? And there's some opinions I can't have and some opinions I can't have, right? So I can't solicit that trade per se. I could, educate a little bit, could talk about it. For me, it comes down to this issue, like we were talking about earlier, of what should your allocation to something speculative be? Whether or not I like it or don't like it, it's what percentage of your net worth, can you afford to be speculative or have in this component. So we might talk about it from an allocation standpoint. We might talk about this issue of profit taking. Um, we also might talk about, distributed ledger technology, fintech, the enablers, the platforms, the service providers, the other things that are circling this. And we don't have to get into Bitcoin or Ethereum, but say, look, this technology is not going away, and it's going to be used. It's going to change manufacturing. It's going to change finance. And who are the players where maybe you can get some exposure to that? And I think that may be more where the conversation goes. But in my case, with the any kind of actual coin conversation, it's like, hey, here's the education. Now go do whatever you want, but you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it here. This is the kind of stuff that has the potential that my industry wants to avoid, right? It's the penny stock stuff where we don't really want to be involved in a market that has this much uncertainty to it, whether Troy's right or not, right? And whether it ends up being something bigger than we think it might be, but we're going to be the last one to adopt that, I would think. And
What
that
if there's
just
an
might,
Now, when
ETF?
go ahead,
well,
I'm
there
sorry,
are,
Troy.
right? There
Yeah,
are
in
there are
Canada and
ETFs,
such.
right? There are ETFs, and there are some, there's Coinbase, which, some of those, and there's a futures market, right? So there are things out there that people can access, but uh,
The futures
I
market,
am
though, is
still
not a great ETF.
correct.
I would want it to be a totally Bitcoin backed ETF. Then it'll change a lot of stuff. Maybe
Well,
even both.
I mean, the SEC is considering it, right? So it's
Yep.
not
But forever.
that far fetched, right? Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a couple out there. I would not be in the business of recommending it. And once again, it'd be kind of, hey, if you want exposure, here are places you can get exposure. And if there was, like I could buy Coinbase. I'm not going to tell someone to buy Coinbase. But I could buy it. There are a couple of the other companies that are a stock that is related that I can't, that I cannot buy, or I could only buy in
Coinbase stock?
very, pardon? I could
Coinbase
buy
stock?
coin,
Is
like,
that
so
what
I
you're
could technically
Gotcha, but you
buy
don't.
Coinbase stock. Yeah. I
Okay.
have, but not on a solicited basis, right? And time will tell whether or not that was good advice or bad advice. But I feel comfortable, talking about the technology, but I also feel comfortable saying, look, this is currently falling in the speculative category where this thing could double, or it could be cut in half, and
Sure.
really there'd be no rhyme or reason. I mean, there are, like I say, there's the ESG that concern that some people still have. There's the uses that are a little bit more nefarious, right? There's a kidnapping and blackmail, and like, so at what point is there some attempt
Wait,
to
whoa! You mean
control a market?
kidnapping and blackmail in terms of what? In terms of cryptocurrency?
Oh yeah, like malware. They're asking you to pay in Bitcoin right now, right? So if someone goes and takes over your, company or your company's database, they're calling you up and saying, "Hey, we need this much in Bitcoin." They're not asking you to meet in a park with a briefcase anymore, which takes all the fun out of these sorts of transactions, I suppose. But
They still
Well,
US
now you
dollars.
watch
So
any
they're
kind of
using.
well, I mean, you watch any movie that is talks about terrorist action, or any James Bond movie, and they always show up with a briefcase that has a computer in it, and they're like, okay, type in this code, and we want this money wired to this account in the Caymans by by noon. So I mean, so that's been going on for a long time in terms of electronic transfers. But what you're saying, Zach, is that if somebody goes ahead and kidnaps whomever, or like you said, hijacks a part of your company and then wants money, the fact that they can go ahead and ask for this in Bitcoin, it's just basically, it doesn't have a social security number attached to it or an actual ID, correct? Because all these transactions are extremely traceable. It's just the source
Exactly.
is not traceable. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, so that, and what, if anything, can, governments or society do about those components? I mean, not much so far. I mean, does that change? Is there any way that, you know, I'm sure people aren't, well, I don't know, Troy, you tell me, are you paying, or sorry, are people in
It's,
general paying taxes on their gains on these transactions? Is there a mechanism?
not
Are they
quite
being
yet.
asked on the filing? I mean, like, is
They
that
are.
like, I haven't seen the software the last couple of years. Does the software say, have you traded crypto? And, they're offering people the opportunity to, is that now part of the software, I assume?
It is. They just they've been adopted it for a while, but they're not really at a point where they can figure out uh, what you've done. KYC on a lot of them, like Coinbase and such, know your customer. They those are the places that you'll find traceable backward trace to where it originated. But if it's like the example you just mentioned, you said a kidnapper, let's say, and once he's got the Bitcoin, if he wants to cash out, he's got to go somewhere. Now he might just go on the street and cash it, but then that person at some point is going to get to a KYC and they will be able to trace it all the way back. Now I'm not saying they're going to get away with it. Or the guy, let's say, kidnapper, said, you know what? After I've done this, I'm going to go ahead and hold it because I want to invest. It's very important to me. So I don't see that happening. But same thing with the Cayman Islands. Do they always find them, or it's the same thing? I mean, it's really no different. It seems easier, but it's not. It's the same. So that's not really a worry as far as nefarious actions, in my opinion.
Well, and I was talking to the producer, and he was talking about a guy that he knows that bought drugs online
Awesome.
with cryptocurrency, and it got in a black van, pulled up to the mailbox, dropped stuff off, and just drove away. So you're creating this environment of having currency, massive volumes of currency that are available that are pretty much not tracked by the government. And which, again, most people would say, listen, that's a good thing. Nobody wants more government intervention. But also, too, there is the downside of that with not having that sort of oversight. Would that be correct?
Yeah, but it's worldwide. That's the thing. Everybody thinks in U.S. only. I'm talking. This is worldwide currency, so everybody in the world are using it. Just because the government of the U.S. wants to, I get that they want to track everything. Every government wants to track it. It just makes it almost nearly impossible, and I get that. I mean, you can buy drugs legally from. You can buy Viagra, and it'll be shipped to you, even though you haven't been prescribed it, and you put it in that no one ever says a word. Mine came easily. It was awesome. Came right to me. I was just kidding. But anyway, it's very simple. So there's no reason to. It's almost the same to me. Bitcoin does seem easier, but it can be tracked. Everything. That's the whole reason for the blockchain. It's all basically recorded.
Now, the popularity of this has gone to the moon. They've got commercials out there right now. You see Matt Damon is out there with his commercial. You see Tom Brady out there with his commercial as well. I mean, this has gone to the moon. I mean, when you start having all these people that are hopping on board and getting behind this as spokespeople. I mean, Matt Damon, Tom Brady, too, are arguably, one of the biggest celebrities that are out there right now that could be a voice for this. So if everybody jumps in on this, is that a bad thing?
No, it's incredible.
It's not a bad thing.
It's amazing. Okay. And that's the whole point is the fact that all the big companies, too, are getting into it. I mean, they're buying millions and millions. The supply is going away. There's like only about 10% available. And it's, it stops at 21 million. You know this probably by now. And that's what, actually, gold, we've gotten 19 billion pounds out of the earth. And suddenly they found out, spectrometers or whatever, there's only 2 billion pounds left on the planet. What would happen to the price? It would fly. It would be like, oh shit, it's gone. the adoption is everything. And I love it. FTX is a new exchange. It was on the referees in the final World Series games. The guy that was, the home plate umpire had FTX on. I'm like, look at this.
FTX on his FTX is
vest.
on his. It was on his
I mean,
vest.
I swear it's funny. I
Wow.
what the hell? Good advertising.
I can't imagine, because there's no other. I mean, obviously there's sponsors all over the stadium, but you don't see, aside from like a Nike or an Adidas logo on a player's jersey. I mean, you don't see. I mean,
What's
I can't
right on there?
imagine the money that they laid out to have that
Because of Matt
put
Damon.
out there.
That's what he was.
why
That's
wasn't
what
they?
he was shilling. He was shilling FTX. Yeah. But
That's
this is not
insane.
going
So
anywhere.
so what do they do as far as this is concerned? What is a blockchain?
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
It's a worldwide web of processors. Basically, anybody can get into it if you wanted to. In the beginning, if you turned on your computer and you logged into
So
the
anybody can make money. Okay.
Yeah, but not anymore. No. Basically, you plug into the actual network, and it's not too hard to do, and you let your processor do all the basically all the every transaction. So everybody's confirming transactions with other computers. That's the blockchain. And the reason it's called blockchain is that after it fills up about 2 gigabytes, I think it is right now, it becomes what's called a block. And the last one, when it fills, they have a puzzle, and that it's basically it's a goofy hash puzzle. And when it's all said and done, one of the computers wins and gets new Bitcoin. But you are sent a little bit of Bitcoin from doing this transaction stuff. Once the block is filled, it's put into the chain, and the chain gets longer and longer. But it's the whole world chain. Everybody's got the exact same immutable knowledge, and that's the blockchain, just without any entity interfering, and it won't go anywhere. It's too late. Pandora's box is open, and no one can stop it.
Right.
So
I mean,
Derek, think of it as, it's a series of, zeros and ones and actually alpha characters, and it's a unique series. And then there's a whole piece of it related to the hashes and how many zeros precede the series, and but like once and each one is unique, and then this concept of distributed ledger is that the record of each of these unique series of characters and numbers exists out there in a ledger, right? Think of it like a big Excel spreadsheet that everyone has, distributed ledger technology, right? So everyone can get to that. Troy, correct me when I'm wrong here, but that's kind of the concept of this. Is like one big huge shared Excel spreadsheet where each time a new unique Bitcoin is found, it gets added to that list. Is that kind of correct?
To a point. It's the ledger is just to keep it, like you said, immutable. But whatever processor is the one that gets to finish the hash, it gets it correct, so to speak. That's a lot of work to explain that. They are then rewarded with the Bitcoin. That's how new Bitcoin is made, about on average 10 minutes each. Because if you look at the original white paper, amazing, this guy Satoshi or girl or people who knows who it is. It's amazing how the puzzle gets harder, so to speak, and the Bitcoin goes down and slows. Every 4 years, it goes in half, and that makes it even harder. It makes the price has to go up. Otherwise, it's not worth it for the miners. So that's the reason that it's deflationary. And like you said before, it can go to zero, but the only way it can now is if for some reason Satoshi did something, but there's 2,000 different people, 2 million, have looked at the source code. And They're saying no, it's perfect. There's nothing to go wrong. So other than that, it has to go up. That's just the law of how it's going to work. And that there's only 2 million left to get, and that's going to take 100 years. The first type 19 million took 12 years. But yeah, it's rewarded at the end of every about 10 minutes after the box is filled.
Do you think there'll ever be some kind of, self-regulating organization globally that, creates a safety net, right? Because right now, if you forget your password, that's a really bad day.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I would hate to have a couple $1 million
Yeah,
in X's and O's and bump my head and
yeah.
spend years with a hypnotist trying to remember my passcode. Like it would be.
Yes, it's happened.
I mean, it has happened, right? I mean
Yeah,
that's
yeah. There's people that have
is
lost,
there
and
a
that's they say there's 4 million missing.
4
wasn't
million
there a dude
bitcoins
that
are
threw his
missing.
and
Minimum
wasn't there a
4 million.
wasn't there a guy that like dumped his laptop in a landfill and
Yep,
and then tried to
he
get
did.
permission to go back and find it because it's worth billions. There's a $1 billion laptop somewhere in the
Yeah.
bottom of a some English landfill.
He's still on top of
That's
it,
where you should
actually.
do some mining.
Yeah,
I
exactly. And
would
I
just
said
set
that
up
too.
I would set up a tent at that landfill and just dig every single day.
Well, hey,
I swear to
if that
God.
landfill was in Seattle, then you're allowed to put a tent wherever you want. So,
Oh, damn. How dare you?
yeah, yeah,
Why on the street then? Why don't you go to the landfill? The actual
yeah.
landfill, the
They,
guy's in partnership with him. He's actually trying to find it, and the guy that owns, or not owns, but whoever is the big guy at the landfill, uh, they're in partnership. They're actually going for it. They're trying to find and they're trying to date
they
it
should
because
be
you
in
know how
partnership
landfills work.
together.
Yeah, seven and a
you
half
know,
thousand Bitcoin.
7,500 Bitcoin is what
Correct.
this guy has on that laptop.
Yeah, but he just, I
Wow.
can imagine it would suck because of, they find it and it's just like been eaten by a freaking bird or something.
7,500. I'm pulling this up here. I'm gonna ruin somebody
Here
else's
goes
day
his
besides yours,
calculator.
Troy. So I'm saying, okay,
yeah,
based on if
my
it's
calculator stops adding zeros at some point.
wow, it's 495 million.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
Billion.
half a billion dollars, half a billion.
Million or billion?
Jesus Christ.
Million or billion?
Billion.
Half a billion. 495 million. If he has 7,500 Bitcoin at approximately $66,000 per Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
That's worth going over
Imagine
there and
the
taking
pizza
a look.
guy.
We should
You've heard the pizza
three
story.
of us. The pizza story?
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is back when Bitcoin was, at pennies. And it was the first transaction. There's a day that they celebrate for that with Bitcoin community. And it was the day that he called, and the other guy on the line at the pizza shop, he said, "Hey, is there any chance you would get me a couple pizzas and accept Bitcoin?" And he just happened to catch some of these Bitcoin. And the guy goes, "You know what? Yeah." He goes, "I'll give you 10,000 Bitcoin just two large pizzas." He delivered it, sent him the 10,000. To this day, 10,000. It's the most expensive pizzas that I've ever been bought. It's just amazing.
Wow. I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, BTC pit today.
Well, now here's something
Wow.
too. They say that you can spend. They're saying they pitch that you can spend crypto like regular money, but the problem is some places are coming on board with this and then subsequently taking it away. I mean, is there any kind of how do you sell people on getting into this when they say, "Hey, you can spend Bitcoin like you can anywhere else," and I'm like, you really can't.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
volatility
You
is
can't.
too high still, right? With a volatility this high, you can't price something in Bitcoin because I tell you that this car is going to be, X number, 1 Bitcoin, and then a week later it's 2 Bitcoin. Like it's the volatility would have to go away in order to be able to start pricing things in Bitcoin. You can make a transaction in the Bitcoin, but you couldn't price in in digital currencies that currently. It just wouldn't
Right.
be.
Well, there is a solve to
It
this
wouldn't make sense.
that they've already fixed, and it's starting. That's what El Salvador did. They're going on what's called the Lightning Network, and that's layer 2 to Bitcoin. And it's instead of Bitcoin getting 3 transactions a second, they're able to do 1,000 a second, like not close to Visa yet, but pretty fast. And it's a bit. The cost of a transaction is the problem. The not problem is the problem that they had before. But now what they're going to do is it's going to be like almost 0.000 penny of a penny just to buy like a pack of gum, which is perfect. You try to buy something small, you're right, it doesn't work. But the Lightning Network fixes it, and it's now being adopted. That's the new adoption. A big company, I don't know which one, just adopted it too. So the Lightning Network is basically you allocate a certain amount of Bitcoin into the Lightning Network, which is still Bitcoin, but it speeds it up, and now you can buy it on the spot. So the price of Bitcoin or its value is kind of meaningless at the time because it's so fast. You get it done right then. Larger items, if you want to use actual Bitcoin, and its speed is so slow, like you said, you want to buy a car, house, something like that, then yeah. But you're right, it's not, you can't just buy things with Bitcoin. They said that on that stupid video. It says, you can buy anything with Bitcoin. I'm like, no, you can't. It's silly, but it's not really meant for that. It's meant to be a store of value. Gold 2.0, you've heard this before. And it is,
Right.
because there's no way for it, not no way. It has to go up by the way that it was made. And it's store value. So, but you can, Bitcoin will be absolutely, Lightning Bitcoin will be easy to use, like El Salvador's using.
Gotcha. Because, and going back to what you were saying, go ahead, Zach. No, go ahead, Zach.
I was just separate, but El Salvador related. I saw a headline, but didn't really dial into it. Why, when they adopted Bitcoin, did Bitcoin drop and there were riots?
Oh, I see what you're saying. That was the people didn't really want it at the first time, and then supposedly it was a lot of I don't know what you call it, the agenda of the type the people that didn't want it really pushed that look, and then supposedly though it's massive adoption so far. It's spending like hard, so you don't know. It's like is it fake news or not? That's so far away, that place. And the fact that they actually do have a volcano moving stuff is hilarious, but that could be fake news too. The thing is, I don't know the actual. You hear all this news, but it's too much that El Salvador's president, I guess, I don't know, he constantly is tweeting, which is hilarious to me. It's just like Trump tweeting everything.
Wow, we don't know anybody who did that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why you have the need to narrate your entire life. But he basically is constantly saying stuff about it and saying, "Hey, we just made more. We just bought a bunch. When it dipped down, they bought a bunch." I guess my bottom line point is, Zach, to your thing is, it has to go up, and that's the only thing, or go to zero, and zero's too late.
So there are a couple folks out there that are in the naysayer camp that say that there'll be a day that everyone sees how this ends up and goes, well, duh, we should have known that. You know what I mean? Like there are a couple folks out there that just think that this is going to evaporate, and everyone's going to go, why didn't we see the emperor's clothing here? Are they just as crazy as the folks that initially got behind this? Or, I mean, is it adoption at a level where you just think that's impossible? Or is there still a possibility that those guys are proven right, where they're like, this was crazy and it happened and now it's gone,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was going to say do you remember when the internet came out, what year you were around that? Let's say 93, 94. I remember commercials saying www, and I went, what the hell is that thing? And I just looked into it, and I was like, oh, it's something called the internet. And you've seen the video. There's a great one on the Today Show And Katie Couric's like, yeah, hey, and she asked the producer, hey, what is the internet? And now it's huge. Now this is, like I said, I believe, and a lot of people do, is it's the next version of the internet. It's a layer 2 solution, meaning it's going to be around the internet, use the internet, but everything will be on there, such as smart contracts and utilities. Are the best part of this whole thing. It's not about payments. Bitcoin is a store of value. Ethereum is like oil. It's gas to make things happen. All these great projects. Oh man, so many projects. That's why Ethereum's going up. It's expensive now, but they already fixed that. It's going to be about 3-4 months till they fix it completely, where it goes way down. And instead of proof of work is when you use all the energy to make the coins, such as Bitcoin. And that's why Bitcoin's solving this by using volcanoes. And the other one is called proof of stake. And that just means you just hold it, you put it in, and there's nothing, no energy is being used. You're just staking and backing a new project. So it's getting even better and better.
Well, let me ask you this,
What was
Zach.
the-
Is there anything? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Troy.
No, go.
No, I was going to say when you look at something like cryptocurrency and you see somebody like Elon Musk who can come on and with a tweet can change the direction of something. I mean, Elon Musk is arguably one of the richest people on the planet. I mean, Zach, is there any other stock that you can think of that somebody could literally throw a tweet out and it would, well, first off, would it be legal? I mean, but is there anybody, any one person that has had so much influence on putting some kind of a post on social media where you have seen a stock just go to the moon?
I wouldn't say another individual. Musk has done, kind of the headliner for that act, but you did see all that Reddit activity, which was amazing, right? Where anything
Oh
that
yeah, with
was
GameStop, yeah.
heavily shorted and just fundamentally a piece of junk. The movement of the rising of the proletariat to stick it to the man, just like let's buy this and hold it because it's hurting somebody who's actually trying to make an investment, and it worked, right? I mean, AMC, GameStop, there's probably 20 names in total that were tied up in there. It just happened the other day. I think Avis rental car doubled for virtually no reason that I could fundamentally see. I mean, you just had an IPO yesterday of Rivian that has it now valued as the second most valuable car company, and I think they made $1 million on a $1.2 billion loss, and they're over $100 billion value. The fifth largest IPO of all time. Doesn't make any fundamental sense, but the story sounds good.
Right.
And so a good story can take something a long ways. But Musk is really your Musk, and then there were some movements at times during Trump's term where he could say something and then there'd be some movement, not to the same degree, but there was movement, because he was kind of picking and choosing winners at one point. It seemed a little bit so.
Right.
And there'll be, I mean, that phenomenon is not going to go away. There's always going to be investments that are going to move based on a story versus their fundamentals.
Reddit.
And yeah. What's that?
Like Reddit, all these social platforms, they can move things.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, in fact, there are investment strategies that try to, avoid the sorts of names that could get caught up in that, just because it's just not, it's not a fundamental trade.
Well, what should somebody get in on right now? Troy, if somebody's going to go ahead and buy into cryptocurrency today, I mean, you always talk about Bitcoin. Whenever we're together, you always say, listen, Bitcoin is not going to be a bad investment for you. And you've been, and I will say this, you have been aside from the initial XRP Ripple purchase that I made on your recommendation, which took a great big Cleveland steamer and then got yanked off of platforms by the SEC. Not your fault. Not your fault, because you, my friend, you struck out at the plate big time with that one. However, you hit multiple home runs on Bitcoin and Ethereum for me and a number of other cryptocurrencies. So you have completely absolved the your XRP sin. What do you think Bitcoin can, as far as like these, because you study up and you read this stuff more than anybody that I know. What do you think Bitcoin can top out at? Or I would say within let's go, I don't know, say 6 months out for these cryptocurrencies. Which ones do you think seem to have the best position?
The one with the most legs right now would be Ethereum. Ethereum is definitely, once it hits the next couple layers that they're doing, they're going to jump into layer 2.0 Ethereum, which is going to slow the cost of it. Ethereum is going to be one of the bigger ones coming up. As far as Bitcoin, by the end of this year, it should be running around 90 to 92,000, in my opinion. By February, a little over 100,000, because it has to a point. And I'm just saying that, again, you don't know. It's very speculative, as you said, but it's really not in the end. It's a hold position. So Ethereum is going to be big. And XRP, I did very well. It was amazing. I bought it at 25 cents. You decided to buy it at $250, $2.50. And it immediately tanked. That's why your nickname is Schleprock. I do not want to know what you want to buy.
I think we can take Troy off of the screen right now if we wanted to. We can just completely eliminate you, and you're see, look at that, huh? See, this is the beauty of knowing the producer. Suck it, Troy.
Oh shit!
But no, XRP got hit by the SEC, and now that they're coming out of that lawsuit right now, and so your prediction, we were talking the other day, was that XRP could end up having a strong rebound.
Yeah, and I think the rebound will be the exit of this whole shenanigans, so to speak. The guy, the SEC commissioner, last day of his whole career, he said, "All right, I'm out." He goes, "But first, go screw up XRP." And so there's like some bullshit, but it looks like it's ending, and it'll have a nice run, but I don't know. The run will be one of those where you want to kind of sell at the top of the run, which is not easy to do, but it'll level out around $2 or $3, which is good. You know, if you held on all this time. How'd you do? Did you hold on to it, buddy?
It's sitting there. It's not going anywhere.
There you go.
It's just hanging. So I'm gonna wait. Zach, when you hear this as a financial planner, financial advisor, and you hear what Troy is saying right now,
it's what we call greater fool theory. Like, I'm gonna buy that because I can find a greater fool to buy it from me later, right? Which works sometimes, but that's me saying, look, when there are certain trades that someone calls me and asks me about, I'm like, do you think you can find a greater fool to sell it to? Because I don't think it's worth that, right? But if you can, I had somebody trading this IPO on Rivian the other day, and I said, is this a trade or is this a fundamental, a fundamental investment? They go, well, it's a trade. I'm like, okay. When are you going to enter? When are you going to exit? Make up your mind, because it's going to get emotional, and hopefully you'll find a greater fool to buy it from you, and just know you could lose, double what you're trying to make. So, I mean, and I think there's still a component of that because there is no barrier, right? You have 4,000 different cryptos. You could have 8,000 next week, and it's there's a popularity component to it. I don't know. I know there is some institutional support for these markets, which might stabilize it a little bit. I don't know how much is all kind of retail investors versus not. I do believe that, and Troy probably could speak to this. I do believe that Some of these have trading volumes that are high enough you could trade on technicals, right? The charts tell you the story of kind of the supply demand for an investment, and that works for all investments to some degree. And I would think that there's enough activity and volume that there are levels of support and resistance and momentum, and you some of the tenets of technical investing probably could work.
Yeah.
No,
to a point,
definitely.
I
there's
didn't answer. I have no idea what the question was. I'm just rambling.
I've done that. I was going to say one of the things you said is the technicals and such. And you said was it the greater fool, and I like that. It's the same, but you think about the U.S. dollar. It's almost like the same idea. It's like the fact that we're using it. That's one thing, but it's
The,
not
the,
worth that
the
much.
dollar's backed by the promise to pay, right? The dollar's backed by the
Exactly.
fact that we're making a
Right.
promise, and the bet on the
Yeah.
dollar versus any other currency is that
Yeah.
we have a structure, and in our case, a military that supports that
Exactly.
as a dominant currency. Um,
That's
and
going
that's the
poorly right now.
uh, money printing is a problem. I agree with you. Well,
Oh yeah.
because at some point
Yeah.
you run out of will to support that. It becomes a very difficult. Now, in the sell-offs that have occurred, and they've been relatively minor, it it hasn't seemed that Bitcoin has been where people have run to, right? So the the ability for it to be a hedge seems a bit limited, right? Like we didn't have a massive rally in Bitcoin when we had a decline in March of, the COVID decline, right? Like people didn't run into Bitcoin. So that hedge component as an asset class doesn't seem to be totally established yet. It might, if the dollar collapsed, with the dollar collapse and people run into Bitcoin, maybe, but it may be that they're running to, who knows what at that point. So.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's not automatic. It doesn't follow what's happening immediately. It's just basically it's a long term. Like I said, the program is only to be able to go up. Otherwise, it all goes to where? It goes zero. So yeah, it's not an immediate. Uh, it'll follow the stock market somewhat, but it's basically it's not immediate. It's a store of value. So holding is everything. And again, you said maybe zero, but it would take the world to do that.
How much leverage do you think is in the system of people being on platforms where they're able to buy on margin or have leverage? I mean, is there a risk, or is some of the volatility created by the fact that people are making bets that are way over their skis, or is that been
Yeah.
worked out a little bit?
Oh, there's a lot of people. I mean, if you're talking leverage, there's places that do 100x and you can get wrecked immediately. That's not, you don't want to do that with this type of coins. It's hold. There's a whole bunch of places to stake. Imagine how much you get at the bank if you put your money in a savings. 0.1 at best, a percentage a year. Terrible. You put it into stocks, you get an average maybe 7 to 10. Would you agree? Like Bitcoin and a handful of the blue chip, we'll call them, coins, are getting an average about 100% a year. And it's because it is the next thing. This is actually the new internet. Just like I said, when you first heard of it, you went, oh, internet. I'm not sure what it is. It's the whole world now. It's everything. This is, in my opinion, and a lot of others, and millions that are into it, this is the next move. And like I said, non-fungible tokens and such. So that is going to keep that average going. It's worth putting you could put your US dollars into what's called a stablecoin, USDC, or Tether. I don't like that one so much. And you just stick it and stake it in this, and make sure it's a good place that's been verified and such. And you're going to make 12% a year consistently. I'm already doing that. I get 12% a year on all my money, and I put Bitcoin and stake it. And the only thing, which is awesome, and you keep it. It's been working great. But Bitcoin itself, though, you want to hold under custody of yourself. Don't give your Bitcoin to an exchange to hold, because
Right.
not your code, not your Bitcoin, so to speak.
Well, man, this is, I think it's certainly worth people taking a look at some of these video clips on YouTube to educate yourself to find out exactly what cryptocurrency is about, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these other cryptos that are out there. I think it's a, listen, I mean, Troy, you and I live here in Vegas. We gamble. Come on, you throw a few $100 at a Raiders game. Zach, you and I have gambled on multiple occasions. I've been sitting there with a whiskey, and you've had an old. I mean, let me rephrase that, Zach. You have watched me at
yeah.
You've watched me at a casino bet while you were grabbing us sandwiches. Yes, that's exactly what happened. So
your pie
has this got to do with my couch?
This has nothing to do with your couch at all.
Okay, just checking.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for your time. This has helped out dramatically with understanding this, and it's great having the perspective of Troy and your knowledge of cryptocurrency and how you feel about it. And it's great having Zach on here too to kind of provide your insight and your approach to it too, because I think you need to. Don't just look at this as like some big pie in the sky thing where you're like, you know what? Grandma died. I got her house. Let me take all the money and throw it into crypto. It's like, listen, like anything, like you said, Zach, kind of, allocate a little chunk, and I think this has been said on a number of platforms too. It's like, don't go investing more than you're willing to kiss it goodbye, which is almost like gambling.
I'm not telling anyone whether they should buy or should not buy this. I'm saying here are disciplines you should deploy. There's 300, let's say 30 major asset classes you can be involved in: stocks, bonds, cash, real estate, private equity, hedge fund. If cryptocurrency is one of your, you've seen those allocation pie charts before. If that's one of the slices of pie in your world, awesome. Be careful, make it a size that you can afford. Hope that it gets balanced out by the other things you're doing. And, I mean, at the end of the day, any investment is more about a lifestyle, right? Like, how do you maximize the lifestyle you want to live with the least amount of risk that goes away? If Bitcoin's a part of that, or crypto's a part of that for you, awesome, but don't risk what you're really playing for in this world, which is your lifestyle, right? You whatever you want to be able to do with your time is really probably more important than how many zeros are in your bank account. So
no, exactly. And if you get a chance to see Troy at a Vegas Golden Knights game here in Las Vegas, if you just walk by him and just whisper 4.125 million. Just say that. Just whisper 4.125 million, and then just walk away, and just watch him. Watch him shake. Watch him sweat.
Is it not on the back of his jersey?
Yes. That's gonna be the jersey I'm gonna buy you for Christmas.
Present. Oh,
that's
Lord.
your new number on the back of your jersey, 4125. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on here, Zach Goldberg, financial advisor up in Seattle. Troy Geiges, cryptocurrency expert here in Las Vegas. You guys are awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Great to hang out with those guys, and great to have you joining A Drink with Derek. Hopefully this helps shed some light on cryptocurrency and what you should do or not do. I mean, just approach this with with eyes wide open. Get as much knowledge as you can. Go on YouTube. There's a number of different videos that explain this even further. Do what's going to be most comfortable for you. Again, huge thanks to my guest, Zach Goldberg, and also to Troy Geiges. And big thanks to our sponsors, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Go ahead, if you're going to bet sports, like we're talking, if you're going to gamble, you got to go ahead and have your head in the right direction. These guys do all the legwork for you. They've been crushing it in college football. VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Enter the promo code Derek35. Get 35% off any package that you decide to purchase. Also, check out my album, Double Down, available wherever you download stuff, iTunes, Amazon, and Spotify, as well as the Irish Comedy Tour, our special on Amazon Prime. If you got Prime, it is absolutely free. And, of course, all of our tour dates are on the irishcomedytour.com. I will be at Side Splitters Comedy Club in Wesley Chapel, Florida, coming up December 9, 10, and 11. And, of course, here in Las Vegas on New Year's Eve at the Hard Rock Cafe on the Strip with good friends of mine, Kathleen Dunbar, as well as Stephen Roberts, two very, very funny comedians that are going to be on the show with me here as well. And, again, subscribe to newtakes.tv. Go on their platform, type in your email address, see all the great podcasts that they have available. Drew, Ben, Sean, Rob, thank you guys so much. A Drink with Derek. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.